On paper, everything looks good. You're earning more than you ever have, you're saving, you're investing, but somehow it doesn't feel settled. There's this quiet question in the background. Am I actually doing okay? Hi, I'm Hillary Hendershot, founder of Hendershot Wealth Management. We publish content to help you strengthen your financial life, grow your net worth, and feel supported through the moments that matter. If that's the kind of guidance you might be looking for, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for doing that. If you've had that thought, you are not alone. And more importantly, it doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong. What I've noticed over the years is that financial progress at higher levels doesn't feel the way people expect it to. Early on, progress feels obvious. You get a raise, you hit a milestone, you can see the change. But later, progress gets quieter. It shows up in a rising net worth, in decisions you don't have to revisit, an instability that builds slowly over time. And because it's quieter, it's easier to feel like you're not moving, even when you are. So instead of relying on how it feels, it helps to look at what's actually happening underneath the surface. One of the first things I look for is this: your financial life is becoming more coordinated than reactive. Not perfect, but more intentional. Your investments, your cash flow, your decisions, they're starting to connect. You're not just making isolated moves anymore. And that shift matters more than most people realize because real wealth isn't built from disconnected decisions. It's built from how those decisions work together over time. Another signal is that your decision making is evolving. You're not reacting to every headline. You're not second guessing every move. There's more steadiness. There's more context. In fact, you might even catch yourself thinking, I've been here before, and I think I know how this plays out. You're starting to trust your own judgment instead of bending with the wind. And that doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from having been through enough storms to trust that they don't last forever. Then there's a moment, more like a season, where something shifts. Your money starts to do something on its own, not because you worked harder, not because you made a big move, but because your investments are finally compounding. You begin to see growth that isn't tied directly to your effort. And that's an important inflection point because it's the beginning of your financial life becoming less dependent on your time. Another signal that's easy to miss is resilience. Not that nothing ever goes wrong, but that if something did, you'd be okay. You could absorb it. You'd land on your feet. You're no longer in a position where one unexpected event would derail everything. That kind of margin is real financial strength, even though it doesn't always feel like progress. And finally, one of the clearest signs is how you think. You start to think in longer time frames, 5 years, 10 years, decades. You're less focused on what happened this month and more focused on where all of this is going over time. That shift in perspective is one of the strongest indicators that your financial life is on solid footing. So if you step back and ask yourself, are my decisions becoming more intentional? Is my money starting to work independently of my effort? Am I experiencing resilience? Am I thinking longer term? And if the answer is yes, even imperfectly, there's a really good chance you're doing better than it feels like. Financial confidence doesn't usually arrive all at once. It builds slowly through consistency and through thoughtful decisions over time. And for many women, especially those carrying more financial responsibility than they were ever taught to expect, there can be a lag between what's actually true and what it feels like is true. Because those early feelings around money don't just disappear. Responsibility, obligation, the sense that you always need to be careful. Sometimes even a quiet feeling that it could all go away. And those feelings can persist long after your financial life has changed. So you keep going, you keep pushing, you keep managing everything tightly. There's no clear moment where something taps you on the shoulder and says, "You've done enough. You can exhale." So instead, many women stay in that same state of vigilance, holding on really tightly, second guessing, carrying tension that no longer matches their reality. And that gap between what's real and what it feels like can be incredibly disorienting. That doesn't mean you're behind. It often means you're in the middle of building something that takes time to fully see. Sometimes what people are really looking for isn't more information. It's someone who can look at the full picture and say, "You're okay. You can exhale." And if conversations like this help you better understand where you are and where you're going, you're in the right place. And thank you for being here.